Yes, hello once again and welcome back to the continuing highlights of the 2023 Helsington Classic Scramble. So we're going to jump straight into our next scheduled race, which of course is race 9. And this is the Taylor Trophy Classic for the pre-1978, the best of the rest category. But once again, another quite good lineup of riders for this race. So the 5-second board is now going up. And as the riders leave the line, we'll try and pick out a few of our race leaders as they begin at lap 1. So as the riders make their way down from the top of the hill, it looks like it's number 17, I think that's Mike van der Meer. I think Rupert Hills is in second position on that Shaney 500 Yamaha. But it looks like we've got a fallen rider at the top of the hill. He must have had some kind of collision as he came down the hill, and I think that looks like that could be Philip Whittam, who's lying on the ground there. Looks like Philip's taken a nasty fall. So once the first aid of taking care of Philip, this looks like it'll be a new race restart for this particular race. So as the riders line up again for the restart of this race, it looks like Mike van der Meer again has made a good start on that Suzuki RM 370 bike. As you can see, the weather here at Helsington is still perfect for this kind of classic racing. So we're back with our race leader on lap 1. It's number 17, Mike van der Meer, who's got quite a good lead even on this first lap. So this has been a good start to this race by Mike van der Meer. Number 13 just going through there. That's Robin Chadwick, on his lovely Matisse Triumph. So it's another one of those flying Scots. And this particular rider here is Mike van der Meer, number 17, on that quite nice looking RM 370 Suzuki. I think it's a late 1970s bike that Mike's riding, so he's certainly going well on this 370 twin shocker. And Mike certainly has a good lead over second place man, who I think is number 16 Mike Foster, who's riding his Bultaco Persang. And there you have Mike there, number 16, on one of those Spanish two-stroke Bultacos. Third place looks like it's number 330. I think that could even be Alan Mullins on the CZ, who's in second position. As we take a look at some of the other riders just completing another lap, number 393 there, I think that's Scott Jones riding his Shenny BSA. But here's your race leader, number 17, Mike van der Meer, on the RM 370 Suzuki. And Mike just coming through there to pass number 779, that's Rupert Hills on his big Shenny 4-stroke Yamaha, another one of the bikes that we had a look at in our paddock walkabout. But it looks like we've got another faller there. That's number 393. That's Scott Jones on his Shenny BSA. Looks like Scott's had a bit of a tumble there. He's knocked the peak off his helmet, but looks like he's going for a lie down, but certainly knocked the wind out of Scott, but hopefully he'll be back up and walking about soon. As we take a look at our race leader again, number 17, Mike van der Meer. But this was my first ever visit to this Helsington racetrack, although I have attended various other classic events in and around this area in previous years, but it was still great to come along and cover this 2023 classic event and take in the history that goes along with this iconic racetrack. So it's still number 17, Mike van der Meer, your race leader. This has been quite a good race here for Mike. He's got quite a good lead over the second place man, which I think now could be number 330, Alan Mullins on the CZ. Looks like number 16, Mike Foster, is now down to third place position on that Spanish Bultaco Persang. And it looks like our follower Scott Jones is recovered from his little spill, so hopefully Scott will be back out again for his next scheduled race. So it's the last lap for the Scotsman, number 17, Mike van der Meer. It's quite a quick RM370 Suzuki that Mike's got underneath him. You certainly don't see many of these older 1970s era Suzukis still racing on tracks, but this is certainly quite a quick machine that Mike's got underneath him. So it looks like Mike van der Meer's heading for his second win of the afternoon. So as he comes to take the checkered flag, it's a win for Mike van der Meer, and we're just trying to pick up who is going to cross the line in second position, and it looks like it's still going to be Alan Mullins at number 330 on the CZ, who is leading number 16, Mike Foster, who's going to cross the line in third. So that brings us quite nicely on to race 10, which is another of the Taylor Trophy Classic races, and this is the fastest guys of the pre-1978 class. So straight from the gate, it looks like another good start by Andy Hinchcliffe on that 360 or 380 CZ twin porter. Lewis Bell is in second position. Number 98, Liston Bell, is in third. Simon Chels also made a cracking start on his big Tribsa machine. So as our race leaders come towards us, it's currently at number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, who leads Liston Bell, number 9, on the CCM 4-stroke bike. But Andy Hinchcliffe has been absolutely amazing so far this afternoon. He's won just about every race that he's taken part in. Of course, we did see Andy out on his 250 Honda Elsinore early on, but this time he's out on his Czechoslovakian CZ twin porter, number 98, Liston Bell, going through, and it looks like Tony Barnes was having a bit of a scrap as they went through. Number 264 is Chris Chell on the Shenny BSA. Number 125 is Ian Stainton. So as the riders start at lap 2, it's still Andy Hinchcliffe on the 2-stroke twin port CZ bike, and Andy leads Lewis Bell at number 9 in second position. It looks like Tony Barnes has now moved up into third place, with Liston Bell in fourth. So it's currently Andy Hinchcliffe on the CZ who leads Lewis Bell and Tony Barnes on both on, of course, CCM bikes. But Tony Barnes certainly looked like he's wanting to make a move on number 9, Lewis Bell. Good scrap going on here for the second, third and fourth place positions. It looks like Tony Barnes has now moved up into second position. As I said, Tony's riding a 520 CCM bike, but here's the battling Bell brothers. Looks like number 98 Liston now has the advantage over his younger brother Lewis. But this man for me has certainly been the man of the meeting thus far, Andy Hinchcliffe, number 224, and it's Tony Barnes in second position. Looks like Liston Bell is now in third, and we have another battle of the CCMs going at the back there for the third and fourth places between Lewis Bell and Nathan Jones. So as we begin another racing lap, it's still number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, who leads number 561, Tony Barnes, on the big four-stroke CCM bike. Liston Bell is now moving up. It looks like Liston's going to try and make a move on Tony Barnes for that second place position, but it's still Andy Hinchcliffe on that light and very nimble twin porter CZ. But when you take a look at these four-stroke CCM bikes, this will give you an idea of just how quick these machines were back in the 1970s. If we take a look at number 98 in the blue there, that's Liston Bell. I think Liston's riding one of those big four-stroke Jawa machines. So here's the battle for second, third and fourth between Liston Bell, number 98, Tony Barnes, number 561, and Nathan Jones, who's also riding a four-stroke CCM. Looks like we've got another faller there. I think that's number 661, Carol Hodgson on the Michael. But we've still got a cracking battle going on here with these four riders at the front of this pack. It's still Andy Hinchcliffe who leads this man here, number 561. Tony Barnes on the CCM four-stroke machine. So Andy Hinchcliffe at this point still managing to keep those big, powerful CCM bikes at the back of him, but this is a cracking race between these first four riders. And of course it's 5 laps of this Helsington racetrack, and it's still Andy Hinchcliffe, your race leader, from number 561. Tony Barnes, number 98, is Liston Bell, and it looks like Liston's certainly going to try and make a move on Tony Barnes' CCM machine, but it's still Andy Hinchcliffe on that light and nimble two-stroke CZ. Tony Barnes still managing at this point to keep Liston Bell behind him. So we pick up our race leaders on the last and final lap of this race. It's still that man, Andy Hinchcliffe, who leads number 561, Tony Barnes, on the CCM, but Andy Hinchcliffe looking quite comfortable there at the front. It's still Liston Bell, number 98, there on the big four-stroke Jawa machine. Another very quick bike as Liston tries to go down the inside of Tony Barnes. It looks like Liston has now taken that second position from Tony Barnes, so Liston Bell certainly on his way on this Czechoslovakian Jawa four-stroker. So we just have a few turns to go before these riders cross the checkered flag. It's number 98 there, Liston Bell, who's currently in second position. So as a race leader makes his way down from the top of the hill for the last and final time, it's going to be yet another win for number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe. Looks like we've got a rider down there, that's number 165, Kieran Jones, but it's Andy Hinchcliffe who's going to take the win from Liston Bell in second position, and there's going to be Nathan Jones who's going to cross the line in third. Okay, next up it's race 11, another one of the Taylor Trophy Classics, and this is the twin choke class, the best of the rest. Some very quick riders in this class, so as the riders begin at lap 1, we'll just try and pick up a few of the race runners. So we're just waiting on our race leaders descending from the far side of the racetrack. I think it could be number 36 who's our race leader. I think that's John Smith on the big 500 two-stroke Honda machine. Second position is number 16, that's Scott Watkinson on the big 500 Yamaha HL machine. So as we begin lap 1, here's the battle at the front between number 36 John Smith and number 16 Scott Watkinson. Scott Watkinson's riding that big HL Yamaha bike. It's not, of course, a fully original machine because there were very few of the big original HLs built, but there's certainly plenty of the HL replica bikes going around. But we're just taking a look at some of the other riders in the chasing pack. Number 27 is Mike Doby. Number 16 here, I think that's Mike Foster on his Honda 250 Red Rocket. But it certainly looks like our race leader, number 16, Scott Watkinson, is beginning to stretch the legs of that big 4-stroke HL Yamaha. A bike, of course, that was made famous by the great Torsten Hollmann and Sten London, hence the name HL, Hollmann London, and these were fantastic bikes. But as I said, the original bikes were absolute rocket ships, but this bike that Scott's currently on is still a nice version of one of those iconic machines. So in second position is still number 36, that's John Smith. And I think that was Joe Dickinson that just went through there in third place on the 490 Michael, but there's your second place man just going through, John Smith. Some very quick riders in this particular class. And we'll just take a minute here to mention our guest of honour at this year's 2023 Helsington Scramble, who is none other than Peter Remington, who of course has been involved with the Westmoreland Motor Club, both as a rider and a club member for more than 60 years. So certainly Peter's a very worthy candidate to head this year's Helsington event. So we're currently looking at our race leader, number 16, Scott Watkinson. And there is your second placed position rider. That's John Smith on the big 500 or 480 two-stroke Honda machine. And John made a very good start to this race, but was soon passed by Scott Watkinson. But we're currently looking at number 4 there, who is challenging John Smith for that second place. And that's Joe Dickinson in third place there, number 4 on the 1981 Mega 2 490 Michael. 27 just making his way through again is Mike Doby, another one of the riders from north of the border, from Scotland. So we're back with our race leader, number 16, Scott Watkinson. Looks like Scott's in cruise control now. He's got quite a good gap between himself and second place rider John Smith on the Honda, so Scott certainly looks like he's got this particular race in the bag. And when he crosses the finish line this time round, he will be beginning his last and final lap of this race. Looks like we've got a new change of second placed position rider. That's number 4, Joe Dickinson, who's now in second place. John Smith is down into third. Number 41 just going past there. That's John Sinnott on his Honda Red Rocket. This has been a very dominant performance by Scott Watkinson on the HL 4-stroke Yamaha bike. Made a good start, of course, on lap 1. Soon passed John Smith, and since then he's just stretched the legs of this big 4-stroke Yamaha, and it looks like he's heading for his first win of the afternoon. So as he comes round to take the checkered flag, it's a win for number 16, Scott Watkinson. Second place is going to go to this man here, number 4, Joe Dickinson, on the 81 490 Michael, and it's going to be number 78, Alex Martin, who's going to take that third place position. So that brings us on to race 12, which is another one of the Taylor Trophy Classics, and these are the twin shock Inters class, which I'm assuming stands for intermediate. So the riders make their way up the hill to begin lap 1. It looks like a good start there by number 81, that's Chris Cannon on the big 500 RM Suzuki bike. So as the riders make their way to the far side of the racetrack, it's quite hard, of course, at this point to pick up who our race leaders are, but Chris Cannon certainly made quite a good start on his RM 500 Suzuki. So as we pick up our race leader, it looks like it's number 95, that's Gary Sowerby. Chris Cannon is in second position there, just going through. Mike van der Meer is also in this race as well. We take a look at number 95 again, the current race leader Gary Sowerby and Chris Cannon having a go at each other as they complete lap 1. So currently, as our race leaders begin lap 2, it's number 95 Gary Sowerby on the 490 Michael, who leads Chris Cannon on one of his many Suzuki bikes. So this has been a good start here by Gary Sowerby, number 95, who again is riding one of these very quick 1981 490 Michaels, but Chris Cannon trying to have a bit of a go there round the outside. So it looks like Chris Cannon is now our race leader. It looks like he's got the better of Gary at the back end of the track there, so Gary Sowerby now into second position. Number treble 3 is in third. I think that's David Bateman, also riding a Michael. Number 585 just going past there, I think that's Steve Dent on his Honda. Here's your race leader, number 81, Chris Cannon, and if I'm not mistaken, this is an RM 500 that Chris was actually trying to sell a few weeks back. So anybody looking for a nice RM 500 Suzuki, here's a nice advert just to how quick this bike is. I think it's possibly a 1982 or 83 RM 500, but as you can see, it's pretty quick around this Helsington racetrack. Second position is still Gary Sowerby. David Bateman there, number treble 3, is in third. So as our riders complete another lap, it's Chris Cannon, your race leader. Second is number 95, Gary Sowerby. Third is David Bateman. Number 14 there, just going through, is Kenneth Muir on his big 500 Honda. So as our race leader comes towards us, it's still number 81, Chris Cannon on the big 500 RM Suzuki. Second is Gary Sowerby, number 95 on the Michael. Third is that man there, number treble 3, that's David Bateman, who's also riding one of those 81 490 German Michaels. So once again, this has been another good start by David Bateman. Chris Cannon well on his way here at the front of the pack, riding one of the many RM Suzukis that Chris currently owns. I'm pretty sure he told me he had something like 16 RM Suzuki models in his collection, so he certainly seems to like his Japanese Suzukis, does Chris Cannon. But as I said, this bike was offered up for sale some while back, and this gives you a quick idea of just how fast this bike is on the track. Second place man is still number 95, Gary Sowerby. David Bateman is still currently in third place, but he looks like he's closing in on Gary for possible second position takeover. So it looks like we may see a change of second placed rider as these riders head towards the checkered flag on the last and final lap of this race. So David Bateman looks like he might make a move on this turn at the top of the track, but it's going to be a win for Chris Cannon. It looks like David Bateman is going to steal that second place position from Gary Sowerby in third. So it's a win for Chris Cannon with David Bateman second and Gary Sowerby in third. Number 86 there is Mike Dowson. That's one of those bikes that we had a look at in our paddock walkabout. And so next on the list is race 13. This is another one of the Taylor Trophy Classic races, and this is the fastest of the Twin Shock boys. So there's some really quick riders in this class. Look out for number 3 Willie Burgess, number 48 Mark Fulton, and some other very quick riders in this class. I think Ryan Ireland is also taking part in this race. So as the riders leave the line, looks like it's Mark Fulton who has the early lead. So as they begin lap 1, it looks like Willie Burgess is in second position. It looks like Jamie Law, number 25, is currently in third. But as I said, some very quick Twin Shock riders in this class. So as they come towards us, it's number 48, the ex-Works Kawasaki rider from back in the day, number 48, Mark Fulton. Willie Burgess is absolutely flying on that blue Maygo 490 Michael. But even on this first lap, these two are already stretching a lead on the chasing pack, but it's still number 48 Mark Fulton who leads number 3 Willie Burgess. Third is 25 Jamie Law, and I think that's Chris Winder who's currently in fourth position, number 13. So as the riders come round to complete lap 1, it's Mark Fulton who leads Willie Burgess in second. It's still Jamie Law in third. Chris Winder is fourth. Number 25 just going through there is Craig Smith. And it looks like we've got a couple of fallers in the corner there. I think one of those riders is Scott Watkinson there, number 16 on that big HL 4-stroke Yamaha. But back to our race leaders, it's still Mark Fulton, number 48 on the Stuart Bland built 500 Honda, who leads this man here, number 3 Willie Burgess on the Maygo 490 Michael. But I must say, this man Willie Burgess is certainly on top form, because I've been watching him racing quite recently, and he's certainly dominating a lot of these races that he takes part in. We're just looking at Scott Watkinson there, trying to get his big HL Yamaha fired up after that little spill. Looks like he's going to get a shove from one of the marshals there. So here's your race leader coming towards us. It's still Mark Fulton, number 48 on the 500 Honda. It looks like Willie Burgess is dropping back ever so slightly as Mark hurtles round the far side of the track, but Willie Burgess still in with a shout there in second position, but Mark Fulton absolutely flying around this historic Helsington racetrack. So it's currently number 48 Mark Fulton who leads Willie Burgess in second position, but we have a change of third placed rider. It's now this man here, number 13, Chris Winder on the big 500 Honda. So Chris Winder certainly making a move here, and it looks like he'll soon be trying a challenge for that third place position from Willie Burgess as they cross the line to complete another lap. Number 25 is Craig Smith, another one of the Scottish riders. But certainly number 48, Mark Fulton, looking quite comfortable at this stage. He was under a bit of pressure from Willie Burgess early on in the race, but that pressure seems to have subsided a bit. Looks like Willie Burgess is now coming under pressure from Chris Winder in third position. So I think that's actually a 480 Honda that Chris is riding and not a 500, but this looks like it's going to be a good crack here between these two riders. Chris Winder is going to try and go down the outside of Willie Burgess and cut in and maybe get the drive going up the hill, but it's still Willie Burgess in second position with Chris Winder in third. So as these top twin shock riders begin their last and final lap, it's still number 48 Mark Fulton, but here's the battle for second position between number 3 Willie Burgess on the Michael and Chris Winder on the 480 Japanese Honda two-stroke machine. So this could be a good scrap here before the finish line between Willie Burgess and Chris Winder. Now it looks like Mark Fulton has enough distance between himself and this chasing second and third place positions. So as they head towards the checkered flag, it's a win for Mark Fulton, but this is the battle that we are interested in between the second and third place positions of Willie Burgess and Chris Winder. Chris Winder is going down the inside, so hopefully he can keep that line as they head up the hill, but it's going to be a win for Mark Fulton. Second position is going to be Chris Winder with Willie Burgess in third. And what more would you want from a day out? Some nice classic twin shock racing and an ice cream to wash it down. And so that brings us on to race 14. This is the combined pre-60s, pre-65s and pre-68s, basically the vintage bikes of this Helsington race meeting. But looks like it's that man again, Andy Hinchcliffe on the twin port at CZ, who has taken the lead as we start at lap 1. So it's Andy Hinchcliffe who leads number 9 at Lewis Bell. Third is Liston at Bell. Simon Chell has also made another good start on his big Tribsa. So as we look to the far side of the racetrack, it's still at number 224 Andy Hinchcliffe on the twin port at CZ, who leads the big 4 strokes behind him of number 9 at Lewis Bell and his older brother number 98 at Liston Bell. Well, this man Andy Hinchcliffe has certainly been the man of the meeting, as I said, because he's been at the front of the pack in each and every race, and I think he's won every race that he's taken part in. So he's very quick out there on the track once again. As we take a look at Simon Chell just going through on his Tribsa, Craig Holmes just passing there on the old Jimmy Aird BSA. That was a bike that Craig just purchased at the beginning of the year. Bought that bike from the famous CCM racing legend Jimmy Aird. So we're currently looking at our second and third placed position riders. Number 9, Lewis Bell, who I think is riding the big 4-stroke Jawa machine, and Lewis is leading his older brother Liston in third position. Now these guys may be brothers, but when they get on the track there's certainly no love lost between these two when it comes to racing their bikes. But here's your race leader, Andy Hinchcliffe, number 224 on the twin port CZ. Still, it's Lewis Bell in second position with Liston in third. But as I mentioned in part 1, we had 30 races scheduled for the day, and we did actually film up to race 28. So there's still plenty racing to get through as we take a look again at number 139, Craig Holmes, with Simon Chell chasing. So we're back to our race front men and looking at number 98, Liston Bell, who is currently in third position. But it doesn't look like anybody's going to get close enough to challenge this man today, number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, who's just simply been in another class here at this Helsington racetrack on this lovely twin port CZ. As your second place man, number 9, Lewis Bell, with that big Jawa doing a bit of smoking there, so maybe looks like Lewis will have to do some kind of mechanical maintenance to that big 4-stroker when he gets it back to Scotland. But he's still going very well in second position, with his brother Liston currently still in third. And if these are the kind of bikes and the kind of racing that you like to look at here on YouTube, then please feel free to leave a comment or even hit that like button if you enjoy what you're looking at. And if you'd like to be notified of any future videos I post on my channel, then simply hit that little subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of this video viewer. So it's another win for Andy Hinchcliffe, with Lewis Bell in second and Liston Bell in third, and it looks like it's going to be Craig Holmes or Simon Chell who's going to cross that line in fourth. Oh dear, 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 dear. Oh, we've had a coming together there between Craig Holmes and Simon Chell going up the hill. But it just looked like both riders, when they went up the hill, just had a bit of a coming together, and it looks like Craig got that left arm knocked off his handlebars and lost control of that big BSA, but hopefully Craig will be okay. So we're now moving on to race 15, the pre-1974s up to and over 250cc. Another decent lineup of 374 bikes. So it looks like we're just about ready. The 15-second board is up. 5 seconds to go, and as the riders leave the line, looks like a decent start by Chris Story on the Honda Elsinore. Chris Chell's also made a good start on the big Shenny BSA, but it looks like it's Chris Story, your race leader from, would you believe it, Andy Hinchcliffe is now back out on his 250 Honda Elsinore in this race, so he certainly can't keep a good man down when it comes to these classic scrambles. So as the riders begin lap 1, looks like Chris Story has just been passed by that man again, number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, who, as I said, this time is out on his 250 Honda Elsinore machine. So it's Andy Hinchcliffe in first position with Chris Story in second, but again Andy Hinchcliffe is quick on this 250 Honda. Chris Story going through in second position, Chris Chell just going through in third place on that beautiful Shenny 500. Andy Malik there on the left hand side, number 43 on the CZ, also from Scotland. But here's your race leaders as they come towards us. It's number 224 Andy Hinchcliffe on the 250 Honda Elsinore machines, and you can see exactly why these little Elsies were so popular when they were released to the world in the early 1970s. It just seemed that when Honda brought these Elsinores out, that everybody and their dog seemed to want one of these bikes. But you can see why, because they were such an iconic machine that changed the world in terms of motocross bikes for many years to come. So there's your second place man, number 280, Chris Story, also riding a 250 Elsinore. So there's your race leader, Andy Hinchcliffe, coming round to complete another racing lap. Number 280, Chris Story, who him and myself had a bit of a coming together trackside in one of the previous races. No damage done to either party, thankfully. Just had a couple of small rope burns on my arm, but that's classic racing for you. So certainly no malice meant to Chris Story from myself. But here's number 264, that's Chris Chell. As I said, Chris is riding that lovely Shenny BSA machine, big 500 four-stroker. So nice to see Chris back on his machine again. I think Chris had a quite bad accident a year or two ago, and he's only recently getting back up to speed now, so still good to see Chris back on this fantastic looking machine. So there's your race leader just going through Andy Hinchcliffe. Second place is still number 280 Chris Story, and it's Chris Chell, number 264 here, who's currently in third position. Fourth place is this man here, number 125, that's Ian Stainton on that Alan Clues Stroker replica machine. So here's your race leader, number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe on the 250 Honda Elsinore. I think Andy's won at least 3 races already this afternoon here at Helsington, so looks like he could be well on his way for win number 4. But again, a quick hello to all my Classic Dirt Bike TV subscribers that I met over the course of this Helsington weekend. Most of you, thankfully, were fans of my channel content and appreciated, of course, my hard work. So it was certainly nice to speak to some of you in the flesh, as it were. So there's your second place man going through, Chris Story, number 280 on the 250. Whoops! Honda Elsinore, but looks like we've got a follower there. That's one of the little Can-Am riders. So it's the last lap for our race leader, Andy Hinchcliffe, but we're looking at second placed rider, number 280, Chris Story. I think it's still Chris Chell who's currently in third position, but again, we have those little Honda Elsinores in positions 1 and 2. So Chris Story looks like he's going to cruise round on this last half lap to a second place finish. But it's certainly been a flawless performance and another well-deserved win for this man here, number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, as he goes to take the checkered flag. Second place is going to be Chris Story, number 280, and it's going to be Chris Chell who crosses the line in third. So we're moving straight on to race 16. This is the pre-1978 class. Another almost full gate of riders for this class. The 5-second board is now up. So as the riders fly away from the start line, looks like a good start by. That's number 44, that's Ben Butterworth on that lovely CCM bike. So Ben's certainly done a flyer from the start gate. You quick look back there to see who's in second position, but Ben Butterworth certainly has made a good start in this pre-1978 class race. And this is quite a fast machine, this 4-stroke CCM of Ben Butterworth's, and I'm pretty sure that Ben uses this bike to do hill climb events as well. I do remember seeing him at the Barben hill climb on this bike a couple of years ago. So we're looking at our second place rider, hopefully just making his way through. It looks like that's number 661. That is, of course, Carol Hodgson on the, I think it's a 1976 440 Myco that Carol's currently riding. And just cresting the hill there is number 873. That's Nathan Jones, who's also riding an Alan Clues 4-stroke CCM. So here's your race leader. It's Ben Butterworth, who, if my information from the program is correct, is riding a 1975 590 CCM. So it's obviously one of those big B50s that's been bored out to 590cc, but this is a good scrap here for the second and third placings between Carol Hodgson and Nathan Jones. Nathan Jones, as I said, is also riding a CCM, but just a stock standard 500 motor. But this is still a good scrap between these two for the second and third place positions, between number 661 Carol Hodgson on the 440 Myco and Nathan Jones on the big single cylinder 4-stroke CCM. That looks like that's big Rupert Hills parked at the left hand side there. Looks like Rupert's got some problems with his big shiny 4-stroke Yamaha bike. So it's still Ben Butterworth, your race leader, and Ben's got quite a decent lead over these two battling for second and third place positions. It looks like Nathan Jones is now taken that second position from Carol Hodgson, but Carol's going to try and go down the inside but can't make it stick at this point. So it's still Ben Butterworth, number 44, your race leader, from Nathan Jones in second position and Carol Hodgson in third. So we're back once more to catch up with our race leader as he crests the hill. So when Ben Butterworth crosses the line this time, he'll be starting his last and final lap of this race, but this has been a cracking performance by Ben Butterworth on the CCM. Second position is Nathan Jones, also on the CCM, and it's Carol Hodgson who's currently in third. Number 56 there is John McCrink from Scotland. So there's your race leader, Ben Butterworth, currently making his way through some of the back markers of the chasing pack. Looks like Ben's got quite a decent lead on second place man Nathan Jones, so looks like he will be able to cruise to the finish line. So as a race leader comes down the hill for the very last time, it's a very well deserved win for number 44 Ben Butterworth on that CCM. Second position is going to be Nathan Jones, and it's going to be Carol Hodgson who crosses the line in third. So that brings us to the final race for this part 2 of the racing highlights from Helsington. This is race 17, and it's the Twin Shock 125A and the Twin Shock 125B class. So some very quick riders and quick bikes in this race, so it looks like that could be number 51 who's got the early lead, who I'm sure was Martin Stokes, but it looks like Martin's been passed already by number 151. That's Mark Silverton on the RM 125 Suzuki. Number 585 just going through there is Steve Dent. So as we look to the far side of the track, it's still at number 151, Mark Silverton, your race leader, who, as I remember, did very well in the previous 125 race. It's still Martin Stokes in second position as the rest of the chasing pack make their way through to complete lap 1. But as you can see, these may be smaller little 125 two-stroke machines, but nevertheless they're still quick around this racetrack. So it's currently Mark Silverton, your race leader, and it's still Martin Stokes in second position. But as you can see, the weather here at Helsington is still absolutely superb. The track in fantastic condition. We did have thunderstorms and monsoon rains on the Saturday evening, which wetted the track perfectly for today's racing. So everything looking good at this stage, but it looks like Mark Silverton is coming under pressure from number 51. That's Martin Stokes on the Honda. So we're picking up our race leader once again. It's number 151, Mark Silverton, who I think is riding a 1980 Twin Shock RM 125 Suzuki. These bikes, of course, were the last of the Twin Shock Suzukis before they then switched to monoshock and water cooling in 1981. But still a very quick bike that Mark's riding there. That lovely villa just going through there, the Italian Moto Villa. Quite a rare bike to see at one of these scrambles nowadays. So we're back to the top side of the racetrack to pick up our race leaders, and it looks like Martin Stokes is trying to have a go at Mark Silverton, and it looks like he's made it stick. So it's now number 51, Martin Stokes on the little CR 125 Honda from, I think it's 1980, that particular bike. So that puts number 151 Mark Silverton into second position. And it certainly looks like it's number 91 there, that's Neil Brooks, who's starting to close in on Mark Silverton, and it looks like he's made the pass already. So currently it's Martin Stokes, your race leader. Second is number 91, Neil Brooks, and it's Mark Silverton who is currently in third position. So there's your second place man, number 91, Neil Brooks, on his little CR 125 Honda from, I think it's 1979, that particular bike. Number 168 just going through there is Richie Hunter on his RM Suzuki. So let's pick up our race leader again, number 51, Martin Stokes, who is now being chased by number 91, Neil Brooks. So this could be a good scrap before the end of this race. So number 91, Neil Brooks, going well, but Mark Silverton, who of course did all of the early running in this class, is currently now in third position, but nevertheless still in contention with the two riders in front of him. So we're back with our race leader, number 51, Martin Stokes. And when Martin crosses the line in this lap, he will be, of course, starting his last and final lap of this race. So this has been quite a good ride here by Martin. Managed to catch Mark Silverton early on and take the lead of this race, but there's your second place man just going through. That's number 91, Neil Brooks, with Mark Silverton currently in third position. But of course we still have plenty of racing highlights from this 2023 Helsington Classic Scramble to come here on my channel, so make sure that you take a look at the remaining racing footage. But as our race leaders start their last and final lap, it's still number 51, Martin Stokes, who leads number 91, Neil Brooks, as these riders have less than half a lap to go to the finish of this race. So as a race leader comes towards the checkered flag for his first win of the day, it's number 51, Martin Stokes, who's going to take the win from number 91, Neil Brooks, and it's going to be Mark Silverton who crosses the line in third.